This free webinar. Today we are going to learn one of the most important topic from project management as well as Lean Six Sigma. This topic is very important because this topic has having an ability to make or break your entire implementation plan. And that's why it is very important. If you see the project management or the Lean Six Sigma, it is a first primary tool that we are going to use so that we can document everything related to our project, right? So that's a really important tool that I'm going to explain today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your message. I'm not unable to watch the live stream. Okay, might be you can see now. It has just started. Okay, so let me share you the presentation. Just one request at any point of time, if you are having any questions or anything that is in your mind, then you can put that into the chat box and I will ready to answer all your questions. I'm trying to explain everything with the help of practical example. That means at any point of time, every concept will be clear to you. But still, due to some constraint, if you didn't understand anything, then you can put that into the comment box and I will answer that question. Can you see my screen? Just type into the chat box if you can see my screen or not. I will appreciate if you can make a comment and if you can respond to. Can you see my screen? Can you hear me loud and clear? Is everything great? Okay, thank you so much. So let's go into the detail of it and the importance that I have already explained to you. Let's start with the first topic, which is why create project charter, right? So if you go into the detail that today's webinar or free training, I'm going to explain 4 important parts related to project charter. The first part related to how to create a project charter is first thing, start with the why. Why create project charter? Okay, so I'm going to answer that question. Then we will go into the detail of what are the different elements of a project charter. That means when we can see that the project charter is a very important document, what is the methodology or what are the checks by which we can say, yes, this is the perfect and most effective project charter. So I am also going to explain all that important elements to you with the help of practical example as well. Then I will also explain the project charter document one template, that is everything, all these elements in detail. And after that, I will also explain you how we can empower for your successful career growth. So these are the 4 important topics that I'm going to discuss today. Now let's start with the 5 first. Why create project charter? If you see, this project charter is a single document used for entire project cycle. So if you are dealing with the project management or whether you are dealing with a Lean Six Sigma or Six Sigma, you are going to connect or you are going to create the project charter as a primary stage or first tool, right? Now, when we are creating this project charter, it's very important because this is a single document that is used during entire project cycle. We are going to update this project charter at every stage. That means once we complete the defined phase, we are looking for whether we have completed the project charter, tracker, and everything. After that, once we complete the measure phase, analyze phase, improve phase, control phase, then after the end of every stage, we are visiting this project charter and we are checking whether the modification into this project charter is required or not. And that's why it is an important tool which improves the effectiveness of implementation. So if you see, why create project charter? Because of this reason, this is a single document which is driving from start to end of the project. And that is also ensuring that you are implementing your project most effectively. Now, if you see, this is a document from the explanation that I have so far related to the project charter. You might have got the clarity that this is a document which can make or break your project. This a single document is having the ability to make or break your project, and that's why you need to take this document, creation of this document, very seriously. If you're not taking this document seriously, then I had also seen practically that many projects fail because of lack of seriousness. This document is also indicates how much serious about you for the implementation of the project. If you see, this is an important quote from Randy Tangco. He is one of the great practitioners. And if you see the statement, the quote from this practitioner, take great pride and care in your project charter because this is where you sow the good seeds. It will eventually take care of you. Now, if you are not having seriousness to create the project charter and documenting every single element that I'm going to explain into the second part, then you will be in trouble. There are many surprises that are coming in front of you, and because of that, your project might get failed. That's why if you want that your project need to be executed properly in proper sequence and with the most effectiveness, we need to look for creating of this project charter most effectively, right? So this is the first point that I have explained. Why create project charter? Now the question to you, is this clear to you why it is important to create a project charter? Thank you so much, Mohana. Glad to see you. Gabaji, Amal Badekar, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Presentation. Okay, might be because of your internet connection. Please check that. Yes, thank you so much. But the question is this clear to you why project charter is important? Great, thank you. Now the next point, once we understand the project charter, the second element, the second point that I'm going to explain, it's a most critical part because these consist of elements of the project charter. And if I go into the detail of this project charter, we can see there are 13 elements. So there is no shortcut to create a project charter. I had also seen the project charter that are only focusing on 3 or 4 or 5 elements and they are creating the project charter. The team is so hurried to create the project charter. They create a project charter and they go for the implementation. And as soon as they go for the implementation, they have seen many surprises, many things that are resulting into the failure of this project, right? So please make a note of it. You can also take a note of it. It's a very important. And when you're going to project charter in future, you must remember your project charter must meet all these 13 elements, right? Shall we start? Yes. So the first element is a business case or justification. So your project charter starts with a business case or justification. Now, what is the meaning of this? We need to set out the benefits gained from carrying out the project. That means before even to start the project, we need to list down why we are taking this project. Is this project is very important for the organization? Now, if you are going to answer this question, we can look into two perspectives of it. Like we can talk about whether we are going to take that project that is giving us a financial benefits or that project going to initiate that is giving us a other benefits other than financials. Now let's go into the detail of it. What is the meaning of financial benefits? That means if you are going to take the project and by taking that project, by implementation of that project, if you are getting a revenue growth, cost optimization, also called as a cost reduction, but cost optimization is the correct word. So when you are going to take this project, whether you are going to optimize your cost or whether you are going to reduce the losses or not. So if you are taking this project into this area, then you are focusing on the financial aspects of this project, right? And this is the first important thing that you need to make a note of it into your project charter, business case, whether it is financial. Now, what are the non-financial things? You can also focus on other important aspects that are also important for the industry, for the organization, or for the company. The non-financial things is like customer satisfaction. Are you going to work on the customer satisfaction? Are you going to work on the employee moral or employee satisfaction, or you're going to work on the safety and pride of the organization? So if you are taking the projects into these areas also, we can say, yes, there is a need of business. And we can also say it is a business case or justification for the projects. That means if you are going to take the project, the first thing that we need to ask, whether that project is important for the organization, right? We need to set out the benefits gained from carrying out a project. That can be financial or can be non-financial. In some cases, it can be the integration of both. That means some projects are so important for the organization. If you are going to execute that project into the real life, we are getting both benefits. You will get financial as well as non-financial benefits. Now let me explain some of the examples here. I try to cover everything with the help of practical examples so that you can understand that concept in a most effective way, more clearly, right? Now, what are the some examples? The benefits gained from completing the project. That means if you are going to execute that project, what are the benefits your organization will get, critical stakeholders will get, or your customers or suppliers will get, right? So don't worry about the concepts now, critical stakeholders and everything. I will explain in detail as I move forward. But let's understand here. The first question is, what are the benefits that your organization or the critical stakeholders are getting after completion of this project? Or the second, what are the consequences of not doing the project? That means if you don't take this project, what can be the consequences of it? So whether it is affecting your share of business, whether it is going to affect your profitability, or whether it is going to affect your productivity. So what is the area on which you will be having the severe impact if you are not taking this project, right? So these are some of the examples. So the first thing that I have explained is a business case or justification, right? Is this clear to you? I'm just looking for the comment section. Yes. At any point of time, if you're having any questions, that you can put into the comment section. Thank you so much. Okay, so we had seen the first element of this project charter, that is a business case. Now, once we understood what is a business case and what is a justification for it, the second one is problem statement. On which problem we are going to work, or for which problem we are going to initiate this project, right? Now, this problem statement is focuses on current state that badly impacts your business, that badly impacts your reputation of the organization, profitability of the organization, or any important element aspect of the your business or your company, right? So when we are talking about the problem statement, it is a current state which is badly. Now, what is the meaning of this? This statement that when we are going to execute that, or when we are going to mention that into the project charter, this should not be with solutions, right? This should be without solution. That means you are only focusing on what is a problem. What is the problem that you are going to focus? Here are some of the examples, like the rejection rate of a product A is 2%, and the competitors are taking some of our market share because higher rejection of our product, right? So this is the problem statement, right? Because of the high rejection rate, we are not going to supply to the market. Second, this is another example. The cycle time of product B must be reduced for an organization to remain competitive. Otherwise, there will be impact to our share of business, right? So these are the some of the examples. Now, in problem statement, we need to mention that what is the problem on which we are going to work. Now, the third element is the goal statement. Now, there is a difference between the problem statement and goal statement. In problem statement, we are just identifying what is the issue that our organization is facing now. But in goal statement, we are talking about what is the way we are going to specify that in such a way that it's very clear to everyone who is going to work on that, right? Let me go into the detail of it. Goal statement, this must be in smart format. Now, when you are going to explain this entire problem into the smart format and how we are going to work on that, it is giving clarity to everyone into your project team. Now, this should be SMART. Now, what is the meaning of SMART? SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So if you take the first word, first letter of each of this word, it is giving you as a word of SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Now, what is the meaning of specific? Specific means what do you want to do, in which area you are going to exactly work, right? So that is a specific. Measurable talks about how will you know that you have reached your goals? How we can say that you have completed your project successfully? So for that purpose, your statement must be measurable. It must be attainable. That means it is in your power to accomplish it. It should not be like boiling the ocean, right? It should be attainable. That means whatever the timeline that you are going to define for your project, it should be able to complete that project. Yes, it must be the stretch goal, but it must be achievable. Relevant, is it relevant with your purpose or the mission and vision of the organization? So that is a question that you need to ask. And the last one is time bound. Have you defined the timeline? Let's say you are going to complete that project in the 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. So what is the timeline that you have defined, right? So whatever the goal statement that you are going to define for your project, that must be smart. Now, let me give an example for this. This example, reduce overtime in the production department, right? Now, this is specific, right? I'm going to solve the problem. Which problem? Reduce overtime production department from 150 hours per month to 105 hours per month, right? So this is 30% reduction. So you can say this is a measurable. From 150 hours per month to 105 hours per month. This is a measurable. By the end of the fiscal year 2022-2023. That means within next 3 months, I'm going to complete that project. Is it attainable? Yes. Is it relevant? Yes. Because if you are going to reduce that over time, we are focusing on cost optimization. We are reducing overhead. That means our profitability is going to be improved. And we can invest that money into some other important task, right? Is it a time bound? Yes. I already said that it is by the end of fiscal year 2022-2023. That means by the end of month March, I'm going to complete that project with no increase in incident reports. So this is a precautionary statement we can support. That means when you are going to reduce the overtime, there also should not be the incident report, right? There should not be the any bad impact of it. So that also you can supplement with the important statements. So this is an example for the goal statement. Is this clear? So till the time we have seen three important elements of the project charter. Business case, why we are taking this project, what is the problem, the current scenario from which organization is suffering, and the goal statement, which is a smart statement on which we are going to work. Now the fourth element is project scope. Now, as the name indicates, everyone knows what is a scope, but scope is, we can go into the more detail of it. This is the area under study and implementation. That means only for this area, we are going to execute the actions and we are going to initiate the countermeasures. That's why it's very important to define what is a project scope. Again, let me give you some of the examples. Project scope talks about the particular process, particular product, particular department, right? On which we are going to focus on, or in which the entire team is going to be focused for execution, right? That can be any process, any product, or any department, or any specific customer. That is talking about the scope. This explains what is the start and end point of the process. That means when we are going to define this project scope into your project charter, we are also saying, okay, what is in scope for the project and what is out of scope for the project. Let's say, for example, if you are having 3 lines on which we are going to initiate the same project, but if you are going to execute this same project onto the 3 lines, it can be complicated to track the actions, and also it will take the more time. That means we can limit the scope for the execution for one of the line, and then we can replicate that into the latter stage. In that case, we can say the scope of the line is the line which is having the more critical issues. Let's say if it is a line 2, we can say we are going to work on the line 2, right? So this is the project scope. Everything needs to be documented, because when you are going to list all these 13 elements, then it is giving you the clarity, okay, what is the way in which you are going to work. Of course, there will be some modifications that are always happening to this, all the elements, but it's worth to complete all these 13 elements before the start. Now, the fifth element is the financial benefits and implementation cost. This is very important again, because if your project is dealing with the financial benefits, or even if it is not dealing with the financial benefits, then also we need to look for what is implementation cost for this project, right? If the implementation cost is not justifying the project for the efforts that you are going to put, then again, there is no benefit, or I can say no huge benefits that we'll be getting from that project, right? Now let's break this into 2 important parts. The first one is the financial benefits. If you talk about the financial benefits, this must be done before the start of the project. Now, what is the reason for which reason we should calculate the financial benefit of the project? The first one is support for the execution. That means if you can see there is a potential by which your organization get the financial benefits, then you can go for that project. So the first thing, it supports for the execution. Second, it is also helps you in getting the approval for expenses. Because if you can see, there are benefits, and after so much of investment, let's say if you're going to invest X amount, you are getting the 2x benefits, then your project is ready for the implementation, right? So the financial benefits calculation must be done before to start up the project, because it supports the execution and also helps in getting the approval for expenses. Now, why need to calculate the implementation cost? Implementation cost is the amount that is may required to complete all project activities. Now, whether I'm talking about the financial benefits and implementation costs, these are tentative, right? Because we at the start of the project, we don't know exact amount that we will be get benefit or the exact amount that is required for the implementation. But this is a tentative, and this is going to be updated as we are going forward into our project. When I'm talking about the implementation cost, then this implementation cost consists of many elements, right? There are many types of this implementation cost. Like in some project, you might require the capital investment. Sometimes it is required to invest into some of the process or products. I can call it as an improvement investment. Training expenses, sometimes we need to give to the people the training and all that. So it also includes the training expenses, material and other resources that you require. Sometimes you need to hire the parties from the outside. Sometimes you need to bring the new materials. So everything is inclusive of this. And sometimes we also need to go for the validation, right? So that also includes the validation activities. So if I'm discussing about the implementation cost, that also includes everything of this. And as a fifth element, when you are going for the implementation or for the creation of the project charter, we need to take care of this financial benefits and implementation cost as well. Now, the next element is the project constraint and limitations. Now, I had seen that many of the project charter formats are missing this point, project constraint and limitations. But please make a note of it. This is a very important part, because I had seen that because of that, many projects got failure or dropped. Now, what are the project constraint and limitations? Project constraint and limitations are the anything that restricts the actions of project team. That means because of that, project team is not going to take the actions. These are also called as a project constraint and limitations. Now, it can be many types of constraint. Now, if you go into the detail of this, what are the types of constraint? There are mainly 6 types of constraint out there. The first one is, we can say, the time constraint, cost constraint, resources constraint, scope constraint, risk constraint, and quality constraint. Due to time constraint, again, I'm not going into the detail of all the 6 type of constraint, but we can understand that these are the 6 constraint, and we need to ask this question related to this constraint. So whether our project is having any type of constraint or not, right? So this is again the important element, and that we need to list during the creation of the project charter. Now, the next 7th element is the risk and contingency plan. This is again missing in majority of the project charters. These are not identifying what are the possible or potential risks that will be coming while they are going for this project execution. And if that is coming, what should be our contingency plan, right? So if we divide this into 2 parts, the first one is the risk and contingency plan is another part. Risk is the anything because of which your project may lead to failure. For example, availability of team members. Let's say if you're talking about the person who is very busy, and it's not possible to for that person to give the time for the project execution. So you need to identify that, okay, what are the constraints? What are the risks that available for your project? Because of that, your project might get failed, right? So this is the availability of team member. This is just one of the example. The second one is contingency plan. Now, when we talk about the contingency plan, this is the counter to the risk. That means we are talking about what are the actions that we can initiate so that we can avoid or address the each risk that we have documented into the first section, right? For example, if I'm talking about the availability of team members, then we can have the commitment of time and effort from each of the member into the team charter. Again, team charter isn't part of this project charter, that I will explain as I move forward. But we need to identify how much of time is required for the execution of the project or the activities from that particular person. And if that person is not having that time, okay, how I can feel that by the people who are having the other expertise, or whether I can call the external agencies. So we need to look into that perspective so that your project might not get failed, right? So this is again the important thing. Do you have any questions till the point? Let me check the comments. If you're having any questions, I can answer that. Okay, great. So no questions. So I think everything is clear to everyone. Okay, glad to see that. Now let's go to the next element, which is the eighth element. This is a project team and roles. Now this is also called as a project, we can say is a team charter. This is a portion that we are going to create. Now, when we talk about the project teams and roles, we need to talk about what is the talent and collaboration of team members is required. For example, if you want to solve any problem that requires the new technology, right, or some innovation things, then we also need to involve the R&D person. Whether it is a need of the maintenance person, then we need to involve the engineering person there, quality person, sales person, marketing person. So depending on what are the skill sets, what are the talent and collaboration of team members are required for the completion of this project, we need to involve all these team members into this project. So in other words, I can say this is a cross-functional team, right? All the departments or all the functions which are required or their talent is required for the execution of this project, we need to involve everyone or at least representative from every department as a part of your project team. Appropriate size considering the scope of the project. For example, if your project is such a that it is not required the involvement from all the departments, then please don't involve it, right? Ideal size, I can say it's a 6 to 8. This is the ideal size for the team. But let's say if your project is bigger, then you can also extend that up to the 10. And if your project is much smaller, you can also reduce that up to the 3 or 4. But try to keep your team size below 10, because if you are having the too many team members, it is going to increase the voice into the your entire team, and again your implementation is going to be delayed. So the selection of the appropriate size for the implementation of project is again very important. Please make a note of it. Now, once you define who is going to work into your project team, then also you need to assign what are the roles and responsibility for each member so that there should not be the confusion. There must be 100% clarity. This is also very important. I had also seen the many projects that people are starting the projects, they are defining, okay, who are the team going to work on that project, and only 1 or 2 member are going to execute the entire project. Other team don't know what is happening into the project, right? So this is the unbalancing. We are not utilizing the great knowledge that is available or that is required for the execution. And because of that sometimes we also get the inferior, or I can say the inferior quality of solution, right? That's why it is very important to involve each and every member into the team, right? This is the project team and roles. The ninth element is timeline and milestone. This is important for the timely execution of the project, and not only timely execution of the project, but the most effective timely execution of the project. That's why when I'm talking about the timeline and milestone, we need to plan the completion date for each of the phase. If you see the Lean Six Sigma, we are going to implement that with the DMAC approach: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, right? So we need to define what are the completion dates for each of these DMACs. As we are going to plan the dates into the project charter, we are talking about what should be the plan date and what should be the actual completion date. Actual completion date is the actual date on which you have completed that particular phase. Let's say you are going to complete the define phase for this project in next 5 days, but whether you are going to complete that activities into the 5 days or not, based on that, you can make a note of it, what is the actual completion date, right? So please make a note of this, what is a planned and actual completion date for each of these phase. Now the second one is, we can also talk about the non-financial things like customer satisfaction. Okay, I think that's come by mistake. Okay, so when I talk about the planned completion date, we always talk about the planned and actual completion date, both for this timeline. Now, the second, when I talk about these milestones, then these are called as these important milestones, right? These are also called as a toll gate review. This is also called as a phase review or toll gate review or milestones, right? If you are going to refer any word, that's absolutely fine. But when you are going to create the project charter, we also need to define that, okay, there are these 5 plus 3, 8 milestones are there. And when we are going to achieve these 8 milestones, the first milestone is like form a project team and complete the project charter. Second, sign off project charter kickoff. Then for each of the phase, like define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And we can also have the project summary report and close out. Now, depending on your organization culture, you can also reduce and add more number of tollgate reviews depending on the scope of the project or your culture or the system that you are going to use. But you must have at least 5 tollgate reviews: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Right? So this is very important for the practical and effective execution of your project. Now, the next element is project assumptions. Again, this is also missing into many of the project charters I had seen, but the project assumptions are very, very important. Why it is so? Because it explains assumptions we are operating under, like it can be the market or customer for which we are going to take the projects. Now, what are the some examples related to the project assumptions? That will be like whatever the customer related to which we are taking the project, that will be still our customer, right? Because if that customer, due to some let's say legal terms or something, because of the reasons, if we are going to lose that customer, then whatever the project that we are going to take with respect to that customer will not be valid, right? So we need to make some project assumptions here. What can be the some examples? Like no significant new technology introduced into your systems, no significant new competition in the market, because whatever the project that you have taken now, that is based on the current situation or current pain area of your organization, and you are going to solve this pain area for your organization into let's say next 2 months or 3 months, or if it is a big project, into 4 months. During that, there should not be new introduction of technology or competition into the market, because everything is based on considering the current situations. So this is the most important thing again, project assumptions. The next one is critical stakeholders. Now, what is a stakeholder? We also need to make a note of it. What are the critical stakeholders for your project? Stakeholders are any individual or group or organization that has a stake in the operations of your business. Now, when I'm talking about the stake in your operations, that can be in both way. That means they can impact positively or they can be impacted negatively. So, who is going to be affected by taking this project, either positively or negatively? You need to make a note of it. If you are going to going to impact them positively, yes, we can inform them. But if it is going to be impact them negatively also, we need to inform them, right? That's a very important thing here. For example, who are the stakeholders? I'm just making some of the examples here so that you can get an idea about it. Stakeholders are like employees of the organization or company, shareholders, customers, clients, right? Suppliers. So these are some of the examples. Now, depending on your project scope, you can also add who are your critical stakeholders. Now, once we've seen all these 11 important points, the next point is project charter approval. Once we feel everything, like we have identified what is a business case, why we are taking this project. I'm just recapping it in a short. Problem statement, what is the area on which we are going to work. Goal statement, smart format. Project scope, what is in scope and what is out of scope. What are the financial benefits and what is the cost required for it. What are the project constraints and limitations? We need to take care of it. What are the risks and what are the actions plans we can have on them? Who are the team members that are going to work on this project and what are their roles and responsibilities? What are the timelines and various milestones and when we are going to achieve that? What's the planned and actual date? What are the various project assumptions? Because of that, our project might get failed. Who are the critical stakeholders who might get impacted positively or negatively by taking our project? Now, once we document everything, then there is a project charter approval. Now, this project charter approval, it needs to be done by your sponsorship team, right? Sponsorship team. Now, who is the sponsorship team? Sponsorship team is the team who is providing you the leadership, resources, budget, appreciation, and also help you defining success and constraint. That means the team is providing you all the resources that are required for the execution and effective implementation of this project, right? These are called as a sponsorship team. Now, who will be the part of this sponsorship team? They can be site head, that means plant head, you can say, operations manager, HR manager, process manager, quality manager, sales and marketing manager, finance manager, right? You can also say maintenance manager, plant engineering manager. So you can also add the customer representative manager, right? Depending on the scope of your project, you can add or remove this sponsorship team. For example, if you're only focusing on the, let's say, one of the product performance onto the line, then you can just involve the process manager, quality manager, right, on maintenance manager, operations manager, and site head. But you also need to be finance manager because we are going to approve the financial benefits from the financial manager. So the sponsorship team, we can add or remove the members depending on the scope of your project. Now, once we take a project approval, we also need to make a note of it that this project charter is need to link to the project tracker. Now, what is this project tracker? Project tracker is the next document that we are going to fill as a part of project management or as a part of Lean Six Sigma define phase, so that we can see there is a synchronization between the project charter and actual execution. We are going to track that. Right now, what is a project tracker? Let me explain you in very short. Project tracker is a formal document that is designed to guide, control, and execution of the project. We need to review this simultaneously, that means project charter and project tracker continuously, so that we can say whether our implementation is effective and whether that implementation is effective with respect to the timeline that we have defined, right? So these are the 13 important elements for the project charter. Now, when we talk about the project charter, this is so critical document and also consists of all these 13 important elements that we need to take care of it, right? If you are skipping some of the elements from this, yes, it is going to impact you somewhere into your project execution. Okay, let's see if you're having any questions or comments on this. Okay, great. Cannot see any comments, so I think everything is clear. Okay, that's great. Now let's go to the third part, which is I'm going to show you the document, right? The project charter document. I have explained all the elements into that. Now let's go into the detail, how to fill that and what are the different sections of this. So let me share you the screen. Let me share that document. Yes. Can you see my screen? Yes. So this is a document, project charter. And the first section we can see it's a project goal and background. Here I'm talking about what is a project name, start date, target completion date, who is a project leader for this, and what is a project category. Like it's a safety, quality, cost, performance, employee moral, customer satisfaction. What is the project category that we need to mention here? After that, the first element is business case or justification, driving force of the project and project background, why we are taking this project. After that, what is a problem statement, the current scenario, the current pain point for your organization. Then goal statement, it should be a smart format, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. After that, what is a project scope, the area on which you are going to execute or you are going to focus as a part of this project. You need to mention what is the in scope and what is out of scope, what is the starting point and what is the end point for this. Then we need to talk about what is the expected savings or benefit from this and what is the implementation cost is required for this project, including validation and all that activities. Then what are the measures of success? Now the measures of success are the measurable factors that we are talking about, is also called as KPIs, key performance indicators, that is explaining whether you have achieved your project or not. For example, we can talk here, what are the example that we have taken related to this scrap percentage, right? So what is the measure? What is the current situation? And what is the target that you want to plan? Let's say if you are having the 2% rejection for one of the example that we had seen, we are going to target that to the 0.5 percentage. and what will be the minimum expectation. Let's say talk about 0.8 percentage, right? So we need to mention all these measures of success, KPIs, and what is the target value that we are planning for it, and what is the expected minimum expectation as a part of it, right? So everything we need to mention here. Now, into my community, every single hackathon process, that means every single hackathon, that means once in a quarter, I'm initiating this process from start to end. That means I'm going to fill the project charter for one of the project in front of you. And then also I'm going to explain each and every element of this. So I'm also going to explain and execute that, create this project charter document for your project every single quarter. Because there is a hackathon process, 12 weeks that I'm following. And it is always start with the creation of this project charter. So into the first week, we are going to define, we are going to identify what are the improvement type opportunities. And into the second week, we are going to create this project charter, right? So this is the live exercise that I'm doing in front of you. Then the next section is about the project constraint and limitations. That can be the equipment, material, regulatory, performance specifications, anything. After that, there is a project team section, right? So the first section we have seen project goals and background. Then there is a project team section. In that, we are going to explain who is the leader of the team, who is the facilitator, or what are the various roles of the team, what are their roles, and what is the percentage of commitment. Like, for example, in some cases, we require 100% commitment from the person related to the project. Like, for example, from the project leader. And let's say 30 percentage, 40 percentage, 20 percentage commitment from the individuals who can be the part of this project execution. Then we need to mention what is the critical stakeholders, who are the critical stakeholders, what are the assumptions, and at the last we will be having the sponsorship section. In the sponsorship sections, we are going to identify what are the risks and what can be the contingency plan so that we can avoid that risk. Then we need to mention what are the milestones and timeline for it. You can see there are the 8 milestones that I have already explained to you, but you must have at least 5 of this. You can add these 3, like form the project team, finalize the project charter, and project summary report. You need to mention what is the start date, this is the planned date, and what is the actual completion date, what are the actual days are required, and what are the targeted days. After that, we can see who is the project sponsorship team. We need to mention what is the name of that person, what is the job title, like site head, operations manager, HR manager, what is the role, and in front of them, we need their signature because they are, we can say, they committed to give what are the all resources that are required for the smooth execution of the project, right? So this is the important document, right? And this consists of all these 13 elements that I have explained to you. Now, related to the 13th element, which is about the project charter, this is one of the example, right? And this is the project tracker, right? So we are having the synchronization between this project charter and tracker. These are also examples of the tracker we can see. And we are always reviewing that, this project charter and tracker at every stage to see whether the implementation is going in line with the implementation of plan, right? So this is the, again, important part that we had seen is a project charter document. Now the last part is about the empower for career growth with lifetime mentoring. Now let me see, there are some of the comments. Could you please share any field project charter? Is there must need to be change management before start project charter? Okay, let me read that question. What is the question, Gabaji? Is there must need to do change management before start project charter? I didn't get your question, Gabaji. Can you specify that? Do you mean that we need to conduct the change management training before to create the project charter? Like that? If you can do, that will be great, right? Because change management is going to help all the team members to understand that. Great. Is this answer your question, Gabaji? You can also add into the comment section what you're exactly looking for. Could you please share any field project charter? So I have shown you the example, right? Now, let's go to the last part, which is about empower for career growth with lifetime mentoring. So let me explain you that, and after that, I will also show some um, short example of the field format. Okay. So let me share the screen. Okay. So this is about the fourth part. Now, depending on what level you are, for example, if you are going to start your journey from the basics, that means you don't know anything about the Lean Six Sigma and you want to start learning of Lean Six Sigma along with all the important basic tools, then you can visit here, vijayasabe.co/blueprint. And here you will get the entire details for the Lean Six Sigma white belt training certification program, all the basics tools along with that, including 8 courses. So everything will be becoming as a part of it. So you'll get all these free as a part of this blueprint. Then if you are at the intermediate level, then I will request you please visit at intensive, vijayasabe.co/intensive. So here you will get the career growth blueprint, career growth blueprint plus Lean Six Sigma green belt. And in addition to that, you will also get the 13 more courses as a part of this intermediate level. This also including the deeper level of understanding of the courses, topics, and also for the minute app. And if you're already the green belt certified, if you already know many of the concept from the Lean Six Sigma, you can also go for the mastery level that you can visit by clicking the link /mastery, vijayasabe.co/mastery. So this includes you of the full training of the Lean Six Sigma black belt. Along with that, you will also get the intensive and blueprint. And in addition to that, you will also get the complete minute app training. So the mastery includes you of everything because it is at the mastery level. So these are the 3 levels. So if you want to become a part of my community at any one of these 3 levels, you can join by, you can go through the details of these entire programs by visiting the respective link, like start from basics, go to the blueprint, intermediate level, go to the intensive, and for the mastery level, please go for the mastery, vijayasabe.co/mastery. So you will get the entire details, fee structure, what is the support I'm going to provide, what will be the structure, and this everything is with the lifetime access and lifetime mentoring support. Okay, so this is the fourth part that I have explained. Now let's see if you are having any questions. I'm ready to take your questions. Gabaji, yes. Okay, yes, sir. Thanks for answer. Thank you so much, Gabaji. Yes. If you take the change management, yes, it's obviously the better thing because if you see the change management is very critical. And if you conduct that change management training before project charter, absolutely nothing better than that. Yes. Okay, the Susai Michael is talking about can you share any field project charter? Okay, I will just give you one of the example. Let me share you with that. Let's talk about one of the element into that. Charter example. Okay, so let's talk about this business case. Okay, let me explain the first thing, business case. So here, justification, driving force for the project and project background. So here is a project. What is the title for the project? Or you can also see there are multiple. Okay, this is a quick product changer. So frequent product changer, losing most of the time. Scrap get generated while changeover. So these are the problems, right? I'm just talking about and why it is important. Loss of $2,000 per month, loss if man days are 24 hours. Due to high changeover time, customer demand not met on time and can cause customer dissatisfaction, may lose the customer. So these are the business case, right? We are talking about, okay, what are these scenarios now? What is the problem statement? Product changeover time is 1 hour of single instant per day, resulting in 26 hours of downtime per month. So that's the problem statement. What is a goal statement? It's a smart. Reduce all product changeover time from 1 hour to 30 minutes, 50% is reduction within 3 months from the date of start. That's the date of start is like whatever the date that we are going to start. So these are some of the elements that I have explained. Is this clear to you? This is just one of the tools from the Lean Six Sigma training, and we can see there are become more than hundreds of tools are there as a part of green belt, and if you see the black belt, it's a more than that. But this is very important to not just understand what is the application of the tool, but how to use that tool most effectively and practically into the life. And at the same time, there must be the mentoring support. That means at any point of time, if you're having a problem, you can reach there, reach to that person, and you can get the answers. So in my community, this is my commitment that I'm providing the lifetime mentoring support. Okay, so do you have any questions, comments before to end up the today's free training and webinar? Great. Thank you so much for your most valuable time. I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. And I'm really grateful for joining this webinar, this pre training, and you have given your valuable time. I'm sure that you got the great value from this. At any point of time, if you want to discuss anything with me in more details, let's say if you're not clarified some of the doubts about the project charter, or if you're having any question related to the Lean Six Sigma or any other things, here is a link. You can schedule a free call with me and we can discuss there live. Okay. So I will happy to answer all your questions so that you can achieve your successful career growth. Thank you for a valuable time and see you in the next live stream or the next free training. Have a great evening. Please take care.